Hey guys, today what we're going to see is going to be like how to get started with Scala using Intellij IDE. Okay, so what we are going to try to achieve is like to set up a few simple classes and along with a certain number of objects, okay, and try to execute this in Intellij after setting up Scala SDK along with Java SDK. Okay, so for that what we need to do is like we can get started and go ahead and create a new project. Okay, so before we create this new project, I would want you to check if Scala is installed in your machine. Okay, so like for me, since it is installed, it is showing there is an option for me to create an project like using IDA or SBT. SBT is a Scala build tool like Maven does in Java. IDA is like the default way in which you can create a new project in Intellij. Okay, so for verifying if Scala is installed, if you do not have one already, what you need to do is like you need to go to settings, okay, or Control Alt S, okay, and once you go there you just need to go to your plugins folder. Okay, so in your plugins just go and verify this option. Just search for Scala and see if this plugin is installed. Okay, so once this is installed you'll be able to create new projects using Scala. Okay, there's also another plugin called Scala Format which helps you format your Scala code. That's a bit helpful as well. Okay, then if you after you've done that, what you can do is like you can go ahead and start creating your new Scala project. Okay, so what I'm going to do is like I'm going to go with the IDEA variant since I do not have much of things to do with Scala build tool. Scala build tool is used when you want to add dependencies as you do in the case of Maven or Gradle. Okay, so you'll need to add the dependency jars that are needed for running your project. Okay, so now since I'm going to just try out running a simple sample project, I'm just going to use the IDEA way of creating a new Scala project. So we'll just give a small name like test Scala project. Okay, so that's the name of a project, and you can mention the JDK version. Okay, so I'll need to mention a few things here. So if you want to go ahead and use JDK version higher than Java 8, say like Java 14, you'll need to make sure that you use the latest version of Scala SDK. Okay, so for that what you need to do is like since Scala 2.1.11.8 is only compatible with Java 8, what you can do is like you can go ahead and create a new Scala SDK. Okay, since I have 2.13.6 which is the latest, I'm going to select that. But if you do not have this, what you need to do is like just click on download. So once you click on download, Intellij will give you the option of downloading the latest version here itself. You do not need to go into the browser, download the Scala SDK, then you will need to refer it back, blah blah blah. All the stuff is not needed. You just need to use the download plugin available with the select jars for the new Scala SDK window. Okay, just choose this version and you say okay, and it should be good to go. Since it's already installed, it did it in a flash. Okay, so now I'm choosing Scala SDK 2.13.6 and Java version of 14. Okay, so this is a project location, so just a simple module name, and the format is IDEA, which is like directory based and not Scala build tool based. Okay, so now let me go ahead and create a new project. Okay, so this is the usual alert where you can open your new project in the same window. Okay, so what we need to do now, since we started with that, we have set up Scala SDK. Now we can directly go ahead and create a new class in our project. Okay, so how do you do that is like if you right click on the project name. Okay, so what options are given is like you might be startled that you will not be able to find any Scala class creation options here because you created right clicked on the project. You'll just need to go ahead and right click on the source. Okay, just right click on the source, and then you'll be given an option of creating a Scala class, Java class, whatever plugins you have installed in your Intellij IDE. Now we have a set of 5 options that can be created. So I'm just going to play around with the class creation and an object creation. I'll just give you a small definition on what is what, okay, and what is the difference between the two. Okay, so let me go ahead and create a car class, for which I can write some code later, and also let me write in some a Java method or a Scala object class. Okay, so let me create a Scala object here, and let me call it as test object. So what is the difference between a class and an object? Okay, so the difference is like a class is defined using obviously a class keyword, and the object is defined using the object keyword. The main difference comes where a class can take parameters, it can use constructors, and it can create new objects with that, but an object cannot do that. Okay, so that's precisely the difference between the two. Okay, so it cannot take any parameters, but the object is like using an already created piece of class as we have in Java. Okay, so you can remember it like that, but the basic difference is like you will not be able to instantiate with parameters. Okay, so we'll have a deep introduction to a difference between a class and an object, and say like implicit objects, case classes, traits, and companion objects. All of those I'll try to cover it in another tutorial. Okay, so now, let me just quickly go ahead and try running this piece of code. I'll just create a small method. Let me try adding a simple addition add-in method. Okay, so what is needed here is like, so the unit is a return type, default return type of Scala. So since I'm going to use int to be returned, I'm just going to return it as int. Okay, let's create two variables. The variable definitions is a little different than what we do in Java, so just the reverse as we call it. Okay, so now I've created a method. Okay, I just created a method with two parameters. Okay, and so what is the issue here is like I'll need to return a number. Okay, so that's the issue here. So that's what was causing the exception or kind of an issue. So let's add a simple variable. So there's a difference between var and val. So var is like a variable, val is a value, it's like a constant which cannot be changed. So we'll go into those things a little later. So let's define it as 0. So sum is equal to a plus b. Okay, so now I've got sum is equal to a plus b, and I'm going to return sum. Okay, so this is a simple method that I've written. Okay, and for it to be executed, you'll need a main method, as we always do in JVM languages. So Intellij does these things pretty easily. It's just created a main method with arguments, with an array of strings, and with the unit return type. Okay, so let's try to quickly print like a set of numbers. Sum of values is equal to add int like 5,7. So let's save it, and so as you see, there's a play button that has come up which shows that you can run the code now. Okay, so or you can just right click and run the test object. Okay, you can even debug using debug points, so you can run it. So once you run it, you should be seeing an output. So we'll wait for that, and the other aspects are like, so I'll try to cover certain things like, yeah, so as you see, there's the return output, and now what we need to do, like I'll just quickly show you how to debug as well, just a small program, right? So it'll come to this point where the values will be passed in. Okay, so and here once it's going to be pushed in, it's going to like go into step over, and then it's going to go to this method. So now you'll be having these values 5, So you can even evaluate values. Okay, so you can even evaluate expressions. A lot of stuff comes with IntelliJ. So these things, like you don't need to wait for the program to be complete. Okay, so you can see these things online. So now I'm just going to step over, as we saw the values, and just a quick way of debugging and finding out issues if in case there are any issues. These are the things that you will not be able to get when you use Databricks or Jupyter Notebooks like for executing Scala code. Okay, so this is a simple object that we created, and we are able to execute that now. Okay, so let's see our code here. So this is the code, and so let me quickly go ahead and create a class as well. So I've already created a class which is predefined. So what I'll just give you an overview on what I've done with that. It's just a set of methods, a simple class. So as in the case of object, no parameters were passed, no constructor is there, but here there is a set of parameters passed, like a default constructor is defined by default, and a set of parameters, variables are defined, and a set of 4 to 5 methods are defined. All are basic methods, like it's just start, select gear, or accelerate. Just a simple way to show how your program is going to run. Okay, so to run this class, to execute the code in this class, there are 2 or 3 ways you can call it, but I'll just try to explain it on how you can do it using IntelliJ. Okay, so you can either call the car instance by assigning it to a variable, say like temp car is equal to new car. Okay, so we'll need to pass in the parameters for that. Let's quickly get it from here, just a small piece of code that I've kept. Okay, I don't want to do any kind of conversion right now, but there's a plugin available for converting Java code to SQL in IntelliJ. I'll just show you that a little later. So now we've created a new object, okay, say called temp car. Okay, so now you can go ahead and execute all the piece of code. So you can start the car using a remote, and then you can accelerate the car. So the method is like it's going to accelerate 5 kilometers per hour every 2 seconds, and what else? You can select the gear, and then you can apply the brakes, or you can just check the speed, then you can apply the brakes. Okay, so these are the 5 methods that are available, and you just can go ahead and run it. I just commented the previous piece of code. It should show you all of the code that's run. It was started using a remote, accelerates at 5, gear has been changed, car slows down. Okay, so there's one small issue here. What happened such that the speed, yeah, we selected the wrong method here. Okay, so there is a way where you can get the speed. Okay, so there is a small issue like where the speed is not getting printed. So let's try to print it out using sysout, or just a print would do here. Print value, speed of the car. So now let's run it once more. So the other thing I wanted to show, apart from executing it using this way or using the method, is like there's something called a REPL, Scala REPL. Okay, so you can go ahead and execute all of this code using a Scala REPL. Okay, as simple as that. So what exactly is a Scala REPL is like, once you choose Scala, rather than running your code, if you choose Scala REPL, all of the things you did here, okay, all of the things you did here can be done here. Okay, so it's going to immediately show you what's the output. It's like seeing your output then and there. That's the beauty of REPL. Okay, so that's an existing functionality, but when using an IDE, usually this does not come about. So you can use the output or see the output quickly. But there's one catch here. Say like if you made a change here, okay, so if you made a change in your car class, what happens is like, say like slows down, okay, slows down very slowly, some kind of a text if I append, what happens is like it doesn't get compiled when you run the code. Okay, so like if I show break 1,2, what happens is like it's just going to show the old compiled piece of code. So for you to execute this again, the latest change, you'll need to run it again using Scala REPL, just like the way you run a program again, nothing else. So we've covered certain things now. So like we know how to create a class, run an object, and set up basic functionality using the Scala SDK. Okay, so now we'll see one more small thing, a Scratchpad. Okay, so a Scratchpad is a functionality that comes along. Okay, so if you see, just you can create a Scratch file. All of these things can be created. Okay, so since we are using Scala, so we'll just go ahead and use the Scala one. Okay, what I'm going to do here is like I'm going to show you on how an output is going to be displayed. You don't need to do anything, just print out one, control enter, the output will be generated. So just any kind of manipulation or calculation if you want to do, or if you want to say like var a is equal to 5, var b is equal to 10, a plus b, okay, all of it will be executed then and there. So it's just a minor functionality. So let's quickly see if the JVM is able to get a new ABC or equal to new car. So you can even execute your car code here. Okay, so what you need to do is like pass in the character parameters, and that's about it. So there are various ways in which you can test your code, you can execute your code. So that's what was demonstrated here. So like I'm going to just say like gear number 1, sorry, control enter is the execute one, or you'll need to press the green button here, the play button. Cool then. So we've seen 4 or 5 things here. Okay, a Scratchpad, okay, a test object creation, a class creation, and how to execute a class in a Scala REPL, as well as to run it using a object method, using a main method. Okay, so that's pretty much what I wanted to cover today. And so there's one other thing. You can even use something called as a Java shell. Okay, a Scratch file using Java. Okay, so that's called as a Java shell. So that's going to quickly create a void main, a simple scratch.java where you can execute your piece of code. Okay, so that's what I wanted to cover today. So hope you guys found it useful. Just leave in your comments, and please do like my videos. I'm trying to put in a series of videos for Scala, learning Scala, as well as learning it along with Databricks as well as Jupyter notebooks. Okay, I'm trying to incorporate it along with Databricks, just planning a course out of it. Okay, all this for free. So please do subscribe to my channel and like my videos. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Signing off, Ashwin.